Now, because these times are so challenging, we think it's important to talk with people like Garrett Tichy, because resilience is just vital for all of us. And he knows a thing or two about resilience. Garrett has what we think is probably the heart and soul and DNA of an entrepreneur, a founder, and a startup renaissance man. He is, perhaps you know him best as the founder and owner of Hygge coworking, but also of Hygge Wellness. But he is, in addition, co-founder of That's Novel Books. He is co-founder of the Support Local or Else movement. And if that's not enough, he's interim executive director of Share Charlotte right now as they executive director. That's because he just doesn't have enough to do. It's an open book, so we want you to open up the chat and use it as Jess gets started. With all of that, Jess, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Hello, everyone, and hello, Garrett.
Hello.
And Lou's right. We're celebrating our 5-year anniversary of Garrett being on my former web series, Flash Chat, where we talked about superheroes. And that's how I know Garrett. And might have things changed. And we've all had to be a little bit of a superhero this year. And resilience is our theme today. And if anybody knows anything about resilience, it would be Garrett. We define resilience as the capacity and grit to recover quickly from change, obstacles, loss, and conflict. And oh boy, surely we've done that this year. Garrett, as the founder of Hygge, which is a co-working studio, there's 4 or 5 of them now, correct? 4. In Charlotte, which I go to if you ever need a space to get some work done. They offer a lot of amenities. But as we all know, co-working not happening so much right now in the last year. And you've built a community with Hygge. How has the year changed that community? How have you pivoted in 2020 and 2021 to overcome the pandemic?
Sure. So the co-working, kind of the whole point of it is this kind of shift to in real life interactions. What up is, thinking back to people that know me way back, we love Charlotte, this like get to know your people, love Charlotte for its people, not its places. And then that kind of, for me, was the foundation of Hygge, which was to create a space where people fall in love with each other, this personal and professional development centered around humans. Obviously the pandemic decimated that. We're starting in March with kind of the major closers and us just kind of being first to shut our doors and step away from everything. We've seen nearly 60-70% of our membership base just disappear. And because we focus so heavily on the in real life stuff, we don't want to spend a lot of time in digital worlds. We don't want to do this all that much. And I'm actually getting a lot of joy out of seeing so many faces here. But it's different. It's a different thing. And while our doors are open, in my space, there is a lack of energy and everything because those people are missing right now. So yeah, it's been weird, it's been a challenge.
Weird is an understatement, certainly.
Yeah.
And since it's like you said, it's more than a space to do some work. It is a community. How have you continued to foster that sense of community throughout the year and try to hold on to that strong friendship and bond that you've created in Charlotte?
Yeah, so this is kind of the interesting thing. I was invited on here and thinking about resilience and what that looks like, and there was, starting in March, probably up through the end of summer, we were fighting this it was almost a good bit of denial. This like, let's try and create things for people to interact. Let's try the online stuff. Let's we can open our doors. Let's hope people come back. And as we saw more and more, even our most loyal members, people that have been with me for 5 years, start to slip away, there was like a moment of just pure acceptance. And that for me probably came even later, probably came this like late in the winter, like the holiday months, where I was just like, we can't do the thing that we are good at right now. And accepting the state of things is going to just allow us to make smarter decisions, allow us to support people in the way they want, which is right now leaving them alone. They aren't coming in. They don't want to do more Zoom calls. They aren't engaging Slack. So for all of these people that say like, we'll be back someday, we touch base with them here and there, and we just have to hope that, and when a vaccine or something rolls out, that people feel good enough to come back, that the foundation that we built with them for years, that Megan and Alyssa and Brittany before that developed with them, that they come back when they feel good. And we're occasionally we see that where someone's like, I'm ready, and it's just they hit a comfort level and they're ready to be back in the fam. But it is going to be a while, and that acceptance has, honestly, accepting it has made my anxiety drop. Like I sleep better now. Like I'm not banging my head against a wall. I feel better.
Yeah, that was my next question. Do you find yourself having more of a sense of peace now that you just accept it?
Yeah, it's been a crazy year on top of the pandemic stuff. Full transparency, last February I quite literally had a conversation with my CPA about cash flowing my life. Quite literally was like, I'm at a place where hygge is doing so well that I don't think I need to work directly on this anymore, that I can make good money and I can go after another passion of mine, create something else, hire a good team, promote within, and then march. Like gone. Like you're talking a $700,000 gap. I'm losing. We're dangerously close to never making money again. We can make money enough to like pay the team and do those things, but like this being a thing that like pays me well is at risk right now. We are close to being a lifestyle business, like the ultimate lifestyle business, like a thing that I work on that I have fun, but it pays me pretty mediocrely. And it's a lot of work, and the team knows that, and I know that, and people that know me know that. On top of that, separation, I'm actually signing my divorce papers today. So like big win. It's been a year, and I feel now a real sense of peace, the acceptance that the business is what it is, and we're making decisions that just purely exist to protect the business. And my team, hopefully, Alyssa, for those that don't know, is going on maternity leave in a month, and I promised her that I would take care of her for her maternity leave. Like, and every decision we make now is about how do I ensure that hygge still exists for 4 more months so I can pay her while she's out, because I believe that, God, for those that know me, like we've pride ourselves in thinking about how to help new moms reintroduce themselves to the workforce. Like, yeah. How do I shut down right before this? It sucks, but and I'm smiling about it because I feel good about the way we've come together as a team and just kind of figure out like, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah, this time takes a lot of teamwork and a lot of support, a lot of community support. I know you have a lot of community support, and I'm hopeful things will turn back. Yeah.
That's a really weird thing that I actually want to talk about. It's been something that I've struggled with. We don't offer a product. We don't have a thing, and I'm still struggling with this answer because over the last year, we launch support local or else, we do all these things, and every once in a while someone goes like, how do we help you? And the answer is like, I have no freaking clue. I have like, here's my Venmo, send me money. Like, we don't offer a thing outside of membership, and that is our world. And if you don't need what we offer, how do you support me? And you can tell people, but the thing that we need people to do is the thing that everybody is being told not to do right now.
Yeah.
And it's been a weird thing where like it's like the support, people want to help. There is absolutely no way to help me right now unless you just want to write me a check. And I don't think anybody should do that.
What have you done to find some joy during this time and some catharsis? I know I've seen you making a lot of pie,
Yeah.
and perhaps that's helping. But what have you found joy in?
Yeah. So she, for those that don't know, she is talking about I bake on Sundays and then eat it in front of Instagram every Sunday night. I haven't done that since the election. I decided to take a break from social media, which has been wildly helpful for my mental well-being. And then also an interesting like case study in what happens when you disengage from the thing that everyone uses to communicate. Yeah, so I still bake a ton. I actually baked a really cool rainbow 6-layer cake with worms, gummy worms in the center for my daughter's birthday on January 6th. So when she cut it open, all the worms spilled out. It might be my best. Yeah, just I started doing that a year and a half ago on Sundays because I don't have my daughter every other Sunday, and it was a thing to stop me from drinking and kind of that idle hands feeling. So I started baking, and it became a kind of cool, fun passion. I love it. Outside of that, I work out a lot. I just started doing yoga 30 days ago, like, and that's like a weird. Like, I don't like that like namaste craps. For those that love yoga, like laying on the floor and just like breathing, that shoots my anxiety through the roof. But I'm trying to take care of myself. So
That's important, taking care of yourself.
yeah.
And though, for those who hadn't seen any of his baking on Sundays where he posted and did live videos, he'd often talk about social justice issues. And I know that you support the Steve Smith Foundation and their work to create a school. You help with the work to create a school and education space for the homeless population during the pandemic. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So when the pandemic hit and CMS opted to go full virtual, and at that time, like my ex and I had to have a conversation, and I'm privileged enough to just go, we'll just send her to private school where she can go in person. We were able to make that decision. And that's a luxury. And then you start to look at, the kind of underserved side of Charlotte. I live on the west side over here in Camp Green. And I realized during the pandemic when I lost power when I was working from home that I have 0 cell service. If I'm not on Wi-Fi calling, I cannot do anything with my cell phone. So when you start to look at all these kids getting hotspots and iPads and being sent off to these like underutilized, utilitized, whatever that word is, part of town, they're screwed like big time. On top of probably not being home with their parents, being with their grandparents that don't know technology, being with brothers and sisters that aren't helping them because their parents are trying to work. Gerard of Steve Smith Foundation reached out, and we just started commiserating over creating space for any subset. Can we get 100 kids in a space so they have food? Yeah, I might get emotional talking about this. I thought we were doing something really great. And then one of the first days that we were open, and I know Megan knows this because I walked through, and it like, there were kids sleeping like on the floor. And I don't want to talk about this. This is hard.
Okay.
It was heartbreaking in like it's crazy.
it's hard to see it. You hear it all the time.
Yeah,
You hear it in the news, but once you see it, it desensitizes. The news desensitizes you. And
yeah, it was such a hard year. Like the amount of crazy stuff we all watched this past year,
yeah,
past whatever. And this one just like it crushed me. And I feel good about the work we did. They're now in a new location, like a new home, but I feel good about setting the foundation for that. And I think they're hosting more than 100 kids right now. It's cool. And it was at a time where we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know how to utilize the space. We signed a lease on 20,000 square feet, literally 2 weeks before the pandemic hit. Honestly, that space is, you know, I'm grateful that we did something with it, because if we didn't do that, it would only be known as the thing that possibly buried hygge.
yeah. And
So
so many local businesses have had to adapt, and so many have found ways to use their resources to give back to the Charlotte community during this time. Are you inspired by any other businesses locally or even nationally that kind of give you a little bit of a beacon of hope to continue forward?
yeah, so it's, the luxury that I have is my network is deep, not only obviously through Share and hygge, deeply connected to a lot of nonprofits. I see some of them here, and I follow their work, and it's exciting to see them continue to find ways to thrive. There's no shortage of businesses and startups killing it right now. And I went through a moment of like pity and like, kind of like F them and their success while I'm crying. But once you get over that, because that's not a good way to be, it's really exciting. It's inspiring, and it may not. It's less about like inspiring me to do work again. Like hygge needs to sit. Like we need to just be here. The goal is survive. So that when people feel like they want to come back, that we're here. I think hygge is an important institution in Charlotte at any size, and if we end up, going from 4 to 3 to 2 to maybe 1 location, we are still here and we can still do the work we want to do. So you look at things like, when you see the success of like Skiptown, it's brings me a lot of joy. Like Maggie started as a single person with Sebastian as a flex member and is now a national dog sitting bar, dog walking craziness. Like I played a small role in that. I'm excited to see my friend do well. That is inspiring, and it brings me, endless joy. It's cool to see Skillpop, who started out of hygge, shift to a digital model and be successful with it. And it hasn't been easy, but I see Stacy Cassio here. I love, like, one of the best emails I get is the Pink Mentor email, and I love just the format of it. I love the way you highlight those people that I read that email because it brings me joy. That stuff's incredible. Tim, like Tim Miner and Matt, still like through all of this, just a beacon of light in Charlotte. They are inspiring. I've talked to Tim a handful of times throughout all this, through Black Lives Matter murals and all those things. Like, God, like, how do you not feel at least a sense of joy when you see people like that getting shit done? So
yeah, Charlotte has I'm biased because I've lived here for quite some time, but
yeah,
and I seem to be ingrained in it, but Charlotte seems to have such a strong network of entrepreneurs and creative thinkers that continue to push the city forward and support each other. And hopefully that continues, and hopefully things bounce back. I remain hopeful. What kind of advice would you give to businesses like yourself that, who are feeling this stress? And, you said you accept it, and maybe that will help. But if they're feeling the stress and it is their livelihood, what advice would you give people?
yeah, it. I think that we're we're so married to what we've always done. You know, I could, like, I had an offer to sell hygge for $3 million 2.5 years ago. I said, I am too intrinsically tied to hygge and it is my identity. So I am not going to accept this payment and I'm going to keep running this thing, you know, and I don't regret that decision because the last 2.5 years have brought me continued endless joy. And I'd also be working for someone that probably would have just shut hygge down at the beginning of the pandemic. It would not exist. At least we have the chance to keep it alive. But I look at, you know, I'm the executive director for Share Charlotte right now. I'm talking with other companies about what, you know, April, May, June looks like. And it's because I realize that no matter how much we sit here and stare and think about hygge and we whiteboard things or we try to move things around, that sitting and waiting is actually the right answer. So it's just opened me up to, like, what other opportunities are there that maybe I can lend my expertise to, and be less about creating. I think entrepreneurs are, we're you know, it goes along with a little bit of ego. It's this, like, desire to control everything, and that's why we run businesses. We want to, like, we didn't quit working for people because we didn't want control, but kind of accepting that the thing I really want to control just needs to survive, and maybe there's something to learn and other good work to do for somebody else. And I'm actually, like, I haven't had this much fun working for an organization in probably 5 years. Like, Share Charlotte and the team is, like, kind of reignited me. Like, I'm tired every day. I have work to do. It feels good. And it's, when it was put in front of me, I was like, no way am I gonna do that. Now I'm, like, having a blast. So I don't know, be open to new things. It's a weird time. Everything's on the table.
Yeah. I love that. This has been a very authentic breath of fresh air for a lot of us who there's a kind of a toxic positivity that can sometimes happen, especially on social media, where everything's awesome, it'll be fine. And you know what, it's nice to hear just the truth, and you speak the truth and not sugarcoating things. And it's a tough time for people. And we thank you so much for that honesty. And I want to give people time to ask any questions since we only have about 5 minutes left. If anyone has anything they'd like to ask Garrett, feel free to unmute or add it in the chat.
I think there are a couple of things in the chat, Jess.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so from Kara, several of the families served by Charlotte Family Housing have their kids going to school at the hygge remote learning site. The parents are grateful and the kids are staying on task. CFH is grateful for hygge and our collaboration with the Steve Smith Foundation. So that's more of just a comment on the good work that you're doing. Still making an impact, even though people might not, you know, think hygge is doing anything right now. You're touching lives in a way that is almost, it's, you don't realize how much of a difference you're making in one child's life and what that could turn into for that child's future. So that's something to really be proud of, pivoting in a selfless way like that. Lou, did you have anything you would like to add?
Well, I see here Janine said that she wondered whether or not you could share how people had responded to the new restrictions. So you've had some things in place when they returned to hygge for COVID. How has he handled that, she says?
Yeah, we actually, I think this goes hand in hand with our desire to be a little bit more present. We don't get yelled at all that often. We're not invisible landlords. We run, you know, we're a small team. We're 3 people running 4 locations, and we're present. You know, we work in the spaces. We have relationships. So when we communicate, even when we have pushback, people seem to be really thoughtful, mainly because they're going to have to see us, as opposed to if we were never present, they would just yell at us all the time about things. For the most part, we haven't had a ton of pushback on implementing. We have masks all the time in the space. If you're traveling in any of the open areas, we have spray and paper towels and restricted meeting space sizes, and the wellness is working out with masks, and for the most part, like people don't say it. I think some people just opt out and will never know how they really feel, but for the most part, people are really respectful, and it's been one of I think we stress ourselves out more thinking about it than we needed to, and that the fam, as we call them, is kind of just doing what we ask, which is cool.
If people want to get more involved in Share Charlotte, how could they go about doing that?
Yeah, so you can go to the website sharecharlotte.org. You can reach out to me directly at garrett@sharecharlotte.org, and I can kind of plug you in different ways. There's a lot coming in. We're changing a lot. It's kind of I don't know, I can't say too much, but I've got a couple months to like put my print on the whole thing. So I'm throwing some new cool things into the mix that I think will amplify Share in a new way, and actually give its nonprofit partners an even greater opportunity to shine. I'm pretty damn pumped. So,
would you say you're feeling a bit more easy about things right now, Garrett?
The worst. Yeah, I went away for the holidays. I traveled. I went and hid somewhere nice for 12 days, and for the first time ever, yeah, I'm sure we all feel this at some time in our past. When you go on vacation, that it takes you 3 days to relax, and then the final 3 days you just stress about going back to life. And I did not stress at all. Like I remember sitting there with my partner and kind of being like, I'm like kind of excited to go back, and this realization that I kind of love my life. I love my daughter. I love the person I'm with. I do love hygge. I love my team. I love baking. I love all these things. Like hygge sucks right now. I've accepted it. It's just gonna blow for a while. But I actually like really kind of love my life, and I'm doing whatever I can to enjoy it. So this is a newfound thing. It's probably the last like 3 or 4 months, but if you can find a level of acceptance and then don't seek escapes from what is like life, it's life. Like you can either accept it or you can run from it, but guess what? It's going to be there tomorrow. It's going to be there the next day. And I feel a bit lighter because of it. So
yeah, I was just thinking, Jess, how Garrett's brand is Garrett. Behind hygge is the spirit of somebody who loves Charlotte and is as candid as he is, and is so involved in moving Charlotte forward through this and helping and being a part of causes and caring and being pumped about Share Charlotte. That's your brand. And I've always thought of you as a brand expert. That the yellow tennis shoes, the yellow, the whole spirit around hygge is you. And so we absolutely cherish and celebrate you for being with us today and being so real. It's a gift. It's an absolute gift. And Jess, are you wound up there? Is there anything else?
I'm wound up. Okay. I've learned to just ride the ride, Garrett. Yeah. I appreciate your candor.
And we are going to send everybody all your information and social, and everybody on the call will get that, because I know everybody fell in love with you who didn't know you today. And so next up, everyone, join us. And Valerie Gladden, I saw you. You'll love this, Val. On February 11th, Dave Alpern is our guest, the president of Joe Gibbs Racing. He was once known as the T-shirt guy, and today is the president of, just a premier organization with drivers like Denny Hamlin, and I think they've got 5 NASCAR Cup wins to their name. But he was once, the fellow who had a flair for creating T-shirts, and so he's just got a great story. But meanwhile, Garrett, we are thankful for the story we heard today. So have an awesome day. We love everybody for being with us, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Bye. Thanks, Garrett.